Hello again, people. Last time we were talking about VPN connections, how to make the basic VPN tunnels. And today I would like to show you how to create tunnels with the certificates. I won't try to explain you how the certificate's working because I expect that you already know that. You know the public key infrastructure, ideas. But every protocol, every kind of VPN tunnel expect some sort of different certifications, and we will be talking about certificates, and we will create tunnels with certificates. I would like to show you L2TP with IPSEC with certificates tunnel, and also SSTP and IKV2 tunnel. Right? So let's start. Our environment didn't change since last time, so I will only like to show you again the same drawing. This is our network, outside network and internal network. The only one thing we will add here is certification authority here on Active Directory server. And that's how we should start. Alright, because at first we have to install certification authority. I've saved some time by doing this in the meantime. And the role is already installed. We have to only configure it and make a post deployment. So let's try to do this. We'll use the certification authority and web enrollment services and certificates. Web enrollment, enrollment web services and enrollment policy web services can be configured later. Okay, so at first we have to do these things, an online responder. Because we have an Active Directory integrated, we can use an enterprise CA, and this will be the root CA. We're going to create a new private key. With this common name, valid for 5 years. Alright, that's mostly all. It should ask us now if we gonna configure additional roles that we didn't check before in some time. Alright, yes, we're gonna configure additional roles. We will use certificate enrollment and web service using CA and integrated Windows authentication. Because there is an old-fashioned way to issue a certificate for a computer. We can use a web server. This web server needs to have an SSL connection, so protected. We have to create a new certificate for it, or use already existing. We will choose to assign the SSL certificate later. Alright, we got CA installed. No, we don't want to configure additional roles. And now we have to prepare IIS server to issue the certificates with a web enrollment. Alright, so we have to at first issue a certificate for our web server to assign him a SSL certificate. And we know that web enrollment server is on the same machine as certification authority and Active Directory, so we can do directly from here by going to MMC. So we are running MMC snap-in, and here we add a snap-in certificate. And what's the most important, when we are issuing a certificate, it might install in user account, but we are interested also to move this certificate to the machine account, the computer account. So we have to prepare both of the snap-ins, okay? And the best way is to save it on a desktop. for future use. Okay, all right, we've got it. Now, because we've got an Active Directory, we can simplify this work by going to Personal Certificates and try to request a new certificate here. We are going next, and we are using an Active Directory which will connect to the CA and looking for templates of the certificates here. And let's look what we will get here. It should not take so much time, so be patient. Okay. Well, not much here, but if we will show all templates, we have much more. And we are looking for web server, and it's unavailable. Why? Well, because the specified role is not configured for this application. But the second part is the most important here. This certificate can be issued only for a computer. Listen, look at this. We've got here certificates of a current user. So we can request a web server certificate only for the machine. So we have to do here to the certificates of the local computer, to the personal, and request a new certificate. Again, we are looking for this in Active Directory for the template. And let's check what we will have here. The same thing, not many of them. If we'll show all of those certificates and go to the web server, it's telling us that we have no permission to issue such certificate. It's a common issue here. Well, what we have to do, we'll stay that open on a bell, and we will go to the Certification Authority tool, because here we've got all certificate templates that can be issued, and we can create, of course, more. But let's look on the web server certificate. Why we cannot issue it? All right, right-clicking on Manage, and here we got a web server. So we're going to Properties, and we're interested in security here. Well, we are a domain admin, so we should be able, but the problem is that we are trying to issue the certificate for the machine. There is no machine here, so we can do this by going to the object types, select the computers, find our computer, and add it to the security to enroll. And now this certificate might be visible right now. Okay, so let's check the same thing again. After the change, we're gonna back here, and again request new certificate with Active Directory, and well, we've got it, our web server here. There is also, with an exclamation mark, an information that there are some more things to configure here. So if we will check it, we have to configure some things about the certificate, some fields of the certificate. The most important here is common name, which should be fully qualified domain name of our server. And we can do also alternative name with an IP address, okay? But the common name should be like the name of our computer with a domain. So 8001.test.local. 8001.test.local. We're at, everything seems to be okay. We're gonna apply and okay, and we're gonna enroll this. When we go inside the certificates, we've got our certificates, which can be used to ensure to identify a remote computer. All right, so let's go to our IIS. here we got our IIS, so we are going here. Oh no, not just a misclick. Done with it. Okay. We're going to our site, and this is in a default website. We've got a application called Cert Server. Yes, but we have to provide the SSL certificate for the whole website. So I'm gonna here, and it will be the bindings. We've got an SSL certificate here, but there is no SSL certificate selected here. So we can select our certificate here and view if we're correct here. Yep, this is the same certificate. So now when we provide a host name also, we don't have to, but we can. But if we don't have to, we don't need to. Alright, we've got it. To be sure, let's just restart it. Okay, and try to load it. Firstly from here. We're waiting now. And yes, we've got HTTPS, so it's a secured connection. There were no prompt that something is wrong with the certificate, so we should be able to issue a certificate for the client. Alright, we are on our remote access server, and we would like to make a request to CA for a new certificate for this machine. And we can do these things in two ways. We can use a web enrollment service, or we can do this through the certification manager and request this certificate in the same manner we did this on our for our IIS server SSL certificate. Let's try web enrollment first. If we get lucky, it should all work fine. Alright, so we are going for our HTTPS ad01 test.local and cert server. Waiting. And we won't get connection. Why? Well, it should be done already, so let's check the basics. If the IIS server is responding. Yes, it's responding. But HTTPS, it's not. Well, now it's responding. Something is clearly wrong here, okay? I suppose it might be related to a firewall. Yeah, it's a tricky thing, you know. On the one hand, you should disable the firewall, but the firewall, it's additional security, so let's just try to add a new role for the port that we will directly select. So, my mistake here. ADN 443. 443 is for secure connection. We will allow connection and any profile, and we name it IIS web server. It's first, so it should work now. I hope it will, so let's refresh this. Nope. Why not? I didn't expect so much troubleshooting here. It should be just fine. There is no error here. Fine thing. It's working. Alright, it's working here finally, also here. But we got a prompt here. There's a security problem with the certificate. Why? Well, let's take a little look for MMC and certificates installed on this machine on remote access server. All right. Certificates for user account and certificates for a computer account and the local computer. If I remember it good, I will save this to the desktop as I did before. And let's look to trusted root certification authorities. There is no our server here yet, and not even here. It's also gone from here. Well, just because of that, we give this error message. So we have to get the CA certificate here and add it here to the trusted certificate to then get this error. So let's bypass this by continuing to this website. I hope it would not take so long. And it will finally work this time. Alright, we have to pass our credential here because we're connecting to the certification enrollment. We can issue a certificate as a user, yes, for the user. And if we would like, for example, to issue a certificate for our Doom James user we used before, we should pass the credentials of this user now. But we can, because we are trying to request a certificate for the machine, we can do this as an administrator. Administrator here. No, it should be here. Waiting again. No idea why it took so long here. Okay, but we finally did it. So here we got download the CA certificate. Yes. And we should. The whole chain. There is no chain at all because there is only a CA certificate. So we can do this. Where it is in downloads. Alright. So now we can just import it to here, to local computer and trusted root certification authority here. So let's just import it. Next, browse, downloads and CA certificate. And it needs refresh, I suppose, because it's hanging again. So we have to be patient. Alright, the import is successful. And we've got our CA certificates. Now, it should be able to recognize that when we will try to go to the website, you should recognize the certificate. Okay? So we can close for now. We can close this and fire up again. HTTPS. No suggestions. Whoa. Now, alright. It finally passed us through. So let's go to the cert services. Alright. There was no prompt, no security threat or anything like this, so he recognized the certificates and it's fine. So let's try to request a certificate for this machine, for this particular machine, right? It's not a user certificate. So we submit a new, and let's see what we got here. Well, not much, not really much. None of this is good for us. So as you already probably suspect, we have to go to the certification authority again and manipulate with the templates. Alright, so let's go to the CA and look what we've got here. Okay, our certificates are here and none of those appear to be the right certificate for a remote access server, but we have to go to manage and find something suitable here. For example, that one. Remote access server and IIS server certificate. Let's look at the properties. In the security tab, we've got all of those things that it's applied to. We've got remote access server and IIS server to enroll, read, and auto-enroll. So probably if our server will be added to this group, this particular group in Active Directory, it should be able to get such a certificate. So let's check the group. Alright, let's go to the tools and Active Directory users and computers. We have to find a remote access server and IIS server group, and look at this, there is no members here, so we have to add a computer. Let's change the object types to search for the computers also, and get to advanced and find it now. Well, now we have only to find our remote access server computer, which is here, and add it. Alright. We should now be able to enroll. But let's check another option here, subject name. Well, this might be a little problem because here we got a build from an Active Directory information check, so it might not appear over here, okay? Because this is for user certificates. But if we supply that, we will supply the data in the request, it should be able to do this, okay? Well, there's also one more thing we should look and take care of, because we would like to export it with a private key to move it between Active Directory certificate and a remote access server if we will have to. So let's check if our computer allow, yes, it allowed private key to be exported, so everything should be fine. So the last step is to add it here to the certificate templates. We pick new certificate from the template, and after we will be patient enough, it finally should appear here. Okay, and let's find our remote access server certificate, and now it should be, we should be able to see it in a web enrollment service. Take a look on one more thing also. This certificate can be used by a client also to authenticate clients, not only server authentication, so we probably can use it in both sides validity. But we will use it only for a server, and we'll issue another certificate specially designed for a client. So let's try to issue a certificate for our remote access server here. When we refresh the site, it should be available right now. Okay, yes. And yes, we've got our remote access server certificate to issue, but we have to provide some additional fields here. So the most important is, of course, a common name, a name of certificate, which should be the same as a fully qualified domain name of a machine we try to connect to. So let's provide the name. But first we should check what is the name of our system here. Area 01 test local. Alright. Area 01 test.local. Seems okay. We have to go down there because the key is already marked as exportable, so we can just submit and install our certificate. Alright, so we've got it. We have to go to our console that we prepared before and I'm going to prove that it's here. Yeah. We mark it as exportable because we now will be able to export it with a private key. So if we pick next and export the certificate with a private key and additional extended properties, then we're going to save the certificates on the desktop. RAS server. Nothing really unusual. Okay. We pick next and next. And what we have to do now, we have to import this certificate. Oh, I close it. It's not intentional. We have to come back here and import the certificate over here to the personal store of a computer certificate. So let's do this. Let's import it from the desktop. Nowhere here. Probably we have to change it. Alright, this is our certificate. And we're going to place it in a personal store. So click finish and the import is complete. Well, let's take a look what we've got here right now after the export and import operation. In a personal store, in the certificates, we've got our certificate. Remove it from that one. We can also remove a CA certificate because it's already installed in Trusted Root Certification Authorities here. And this is sufficient enough. Okay, now we've got our machine on one side completely prepared. So what we're going to do here now, we have to go to the client side. So now let's check on our Active Directory and Certificate Authority server what kind of certificate we can exactly use for our workstation that we'll try to connect through the VPN tunnel, and what certificate we will be able to issue. So we are going here to the CA, Certification Authority, and what templates we've got here. So there is a lot of things we could use. Here we got a remote access server, but we don't want it because it's for a remote access server only. This is domain control authentication, Kerberos authentication, nothing with only client authentication. So I suppose you have to go to manage and check for something else. If we'll go down there, we've got something like workstation authentication, which we're going to use now for our client. So let's check the basics of this certificate. Its properties. Well, I'm almost sure that we have to also allow the private key, of course, to be exported here because we're going to move this certificate just as we did in the server side between client and computer certificate store. Let's check the other tabs here. Let's go to the security because we have to check if our admins are ready to enroll it. Here they are. So now it's subject name. And we don't want to build it from the Active Directory. We're going to use also here, we're going to supply all the information we need. Just the same as we did in the server. Alright, we've got workstation authentication template prepared. So let's go and add it here to be visible in web enrollment. Yes, it is. Okay. So now we can close all of those. And we are ready to enroll it. Okay, so let's go for our client computer. I hope it will gain an access to the https 8001test.local.hash cert service. Alright. Okay, we provide an administrator account credentials. For a moment I forget a password. I suppose I took a little too much convoluted password here. Alright, we'll request a certificate here, and we want advanced request and create a submit request. Okay. Yes, there is our workstation authentication certificate, and we were going to provide only common names. So the name of this computer that time, let's go to the system, client 1 test local. Yes, we've got it. We marked the key as exportable, so we can submit it right now and install the certificate. Once again, we have to go to MFC console here, prepare our certificate snap-in for both user account and a computer account here. I didn't done this last time, so this time I will also save this for future use. Okay. As you probably suspect, newly created certificate will be available here in personal certificate. And again, we have to export it and import on machine store. Okay. Okay, so now we've got the same certificate here. Not the same, but I mean a machine certificate here. So we can do some cleaning here also. Here it is, okay. And we can clean from up here. Okay. As you probably suspect, in that moment, we now should be able to make a connection. So let's, big finger crossed. I hope we will make it. On the client side, we have also we have to provide new authentication methods here. We can now turn our internal network off. Let's check this. This is that one. We're going to disable it and change the properties of the VPN connection right now so that we will not use. Oh, I missed click. I missed it. But it's here. Okay. We are using a certificate for authentication right now. Move L2TP and authentication of MS chat properties. Alright. So that side looks fine. So now we have to take a look on the other side of the tunnel. So on our remote access server, not that one, that one. And we are going to the routing and remote access. Check the properties. In the security tab, we've got a pre-shared key allowed. If we turn this off, they would expect a certificate over here. So now it should be able to connect. For sure, we have to also restart the service, and we will make some tests here. Alright, so we're on the client side again. We've already have all things prepared, so let's just try to connect with the VPN, providing our credentials. And it's done, it's connected. So that's how we can use the certificates for the connection. If we will take a look on the properties of this connection, you can see that we got here IP address. Instead of this, we can of course use our area01 test.local, but unfortunately this name would be resolvable because we are outside of a network and there is no DNS outside DNS configured. So that might be a little problem here, but such a problem we can overcome with a few simple steps. Well, at first we have to prove that it's not resolvable. So let's ping the array s01.test.local. No, we can't find the name. But what we can do, we can tell our Windows on what IP address he should look for such a name without using DNS. So we can go to the Windows, System32. Here we have to find drivers and etc. There is a host file over here. Let's copy it here and open by Notepad. And we can provide here an IP address of our remote access server and a name. So rs01 test.local. Now we will move it here and replace the file in the destination. And let's try to do the same thing once more. As you can see now, if we're trying to ping the rs01.test.local, he told us that the address of this service is 01. It's not responding. It's because of Windows Firewall. It's not allowing an ICMP traffic, so it doesn't matter right now for us. Okay, I suppose that even with ICMP not working, we should be able to connect. So let's try again. Provide credentials again, and we're connected. There is no way to prove that we are using a certificate right now, because as you will see in a moment, there is nothing about in details of the connection. But we can do other things just to prove you that we are really using a certificate, so I don't cheat. For example, we can remove CA certificate, for example. So let's go here, and after we will remove the certificate of a certification authority from here and from here, just for sure. I know it should be removed automatically from here, and really it is. He won't recognize the chain of trust of the certificate, so it shouldn't allow to connect. So let's try again. And yes, it will not connect. So I hope you now believe that I really use the certificate.